Hey, welcome back. It's your boy Ceelos
And your boy CJO.
back at it again with episode 2. We have our guest speaker today, my brother-in-law Adam.
Sir. What's up, everybody?
What do you got in store for us today, bro?
Well, I was invited here, and I just want to say it like it is. You know, whatever people want to hear, whatever people feel like they need to hear, and I'm here to say it like it is. So just shoot it at me, and I got the answers.
We were gonna start off last night, but then Ceelos over here forgot his microphone. He brought his microphone, but forgot the cable to it. And so then Adam was like, you know, like let's start it, but it was like already late. So anyways, now we're here at our uncle's house recording. So we'll see, you know, what's
Just to make it clear, it wasn't my fault. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but like I said, we have Adam here. I think we come up with some great questions to ask.
I got him, damn it. I got him. I got him.
CJO, what do you got? Come on, man.
This is easy.
So just so you know, I know you guys feel intimidated when my presence, and it's all right. You know,
I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous because
he's a short king, so it's like 5'5", and then what I'm doing too, I'm gonna edit his oxygen tank that's in the background, so you won't hear. Don't worry about it. Eventually, when I release the video, I'll do a Photoshop on the oxygen tank, you know, things that's
yeah. Well,
he's good. He's good. He's
No.
They needed some mature content, so they called me. So I'm here.
Wait, Chiching, no, aquí no.
Let's start. What you got?
Wait, Chiching, no. I'm gonna hit it, Chiching.
I think
no.
a good subject is always family. I tell my kids is don't have kids. And if you guys were to see the camera back there, my kids are fighting back there. And
cameraman's fighting someone.
The cameraman is fighting back there. His cousin he's got him in a choke, and it's one of the advices I give my kids, and I really don't mean it. I mean, like, you know, like I was telling you guys yesterday, is if it wasn't for the money in my personal life, I would have a lot of kids. So a good topic to me would be family. I'm a very family-oriented guy, and family is a good topic to start off with.
You talk about kids, so hypothetically speaking, or not hypothetically, but let's say you are well off. How many kids do you want to have, if you could have?
Just nonstop. You know, just one a year. You know, one a year.
Is that with one woman or multiple women?
Well, whatever. I mean, you know, whatever's out there, whatever's available, I take it. You know what I mean? In this, you know, the new millennium, it is what it is. I mean, you got to take them as they come. You know, I didn't want to say no. If it's there, it's there, and if it's not, it's, you know, it is what it is. I love my family, I love my kids, I love my everyone around me. You know, you guys are all family to me. And my strongest reason of doing the things I do, and, you know, this could be a subject for another day, but everything around me has to do with my family, my kids, my wife, you know, my parents, the way I grew up, the way I live now. Everything around me has to do with my family. You know, my kids can vouch for me, my wife can vouch for me, everybody can tell you everything I do every day. It has to do with my family, my kids, my wife, and the people around me. So when I want somebody to one day in the future, to when they think back of me, they'll be like, oh, he was a family guy. You know, that's what I do, my family.
I remember meeting Adam. You know, it was back. I think it was like way back then, and you know, I saw him, and you know, he hasn't changed. He's still like, well, I mean, you know, he's changed, like more mature and stuff like that. But
that's right.
Just kind of seeing from him the first time, being like, oh man, who's this guy? He kind of seems, you know, intimidating. To now it's just like, you know, it's just Adam. But you know, it's crazy how far we've gone, and even like with Ceelos, you know, like seeing how he's grown up, and you know how close all three of us are together. You know, we talk about always doing something, and when it comes to mind, it's always us three. You know, like, hey, let's go do this for the family, or let's go spend time here or whatever it is, you know. So I think it's really good having this topic about family and just us being close together and getting this, you know, stuff about us out there as well to, you know, to everyone out there.
Yeah, that's it's funny we picked that topic, but on our way here to this family reunion, my wife asked my kids if they could have a different dad. Who would they have? You know, somebody famous or somebody they know. And then once we talk about it in the car, I realized that there's not a lot of people around me that are, you know, like they're top models, father figures. You know, we all do what we can. You know, you do what you can. Well, you kind of suck a little bit, but you do what you can. You know, but there's really not a somebody who's like, oh, that guy's a good father figure. You know.
Well, I mean, when you talk with your kids about that, I mean, they don't know. I don't think they would know someone else as a father figure because you're their father, you're the one they've been around with, right? Obviously, they have their celebrities or they're into sports, the person they look up to and stuff like that. But I think it just goes to there, you know, like in the sport. Like if you like soccer or football, you have that role model, right, that you look up to, and you may want to be inspired to be sort of like him. But at the end of the day, you're their father, right? And they know that, and they don't know nothing else outside of that, right? They don't know, for example, if Tom Brady is someone you look up to, they don't know what type of father they'll be to them, right? Is he, like, how is he gonna be? They just know what Tom Brady does, and that's football, right? So they know that he's great at football. So that's just what they're inspired to be. That's something that they're into, right? So I just think they won't want to replace you, right?
Right.
And that's just what I see. And same thing with my kids. I mean, I don't think they would. I mean, they're still young, but I don't think they would want to replace me because they don't know nothing else outside of that, right? They don't have no one else that they can lean to and say, hey, I wish he was my dad, you know? And hopefully it never comes to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like, you know, with you guys' podcast and everything, I feel it's great. And, you know, I feel like there's a lot of people, a lot of guys like us, you know? There's a lot of dudes like us. And then, that would want to hear another dude's story, you know what I mean? And I feel there's like the people listening will be dudes, and they're like, oh, I can relate to that, and that's kind of why my major reason of wanting to do this with you guys is because there's other people, and especially us Latinos, you know, like because we're all so strong with their families, so united with their families. But I feel like a lot of us go through a lot of the same stuff. Like you go through some of this stuff, I go through some stuff, and I think sometimes talking about it is like, oh, I can relate to that. What that guy's got to say, you know? Who doesn't like have problems with their suegras, you know? Like I say it like it is. You know?
Say it how it is, bro.
I say it like it is, you know.
No, but I get where you're coming from because obviously we all share. I mean, me and you share the same suegra, and
unfortunately, just kidding.
but
delete that part.
Suegra, it's you know, just for everyone, it's mother-in-law. So in case you're trying to figure out what suegra is, you're gonna Google it or you know something.
Yeah, Hispanics have a hard time with their mother-in-laws. Who knows why?
But it's because they come from. I mean, at least for our case, they're straight from Mexico. They have the old culture thing, and we're more United States, right? We have the United States culture, where yes, we're close with our family, but we may not have the same beliefs that they may have, right? Because we grew up here. Well, not most of us, but
we grew up.
But we grew up here, right? We're accustomed to the United States way of living, right? We still have our Hispanic culture that we bring into it, but it's not the same when they were in Mexico, right? Where the things that they say that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what
to us, right?
That's kind of what I'm saying. So it's like all of us, you know, we grew up here, and then we grew up with a certain way of living, and then you know, when you have like a family members that are not accustomed to the way that we grew up, and then they want to, you know, change your ways because that's the way it was done, and I say it like it is. Yeah, that's my word right there, right? But we're Americans, you know. We grew up in America. We're here in America, and it's like you know, I love my heritage. I love being Mexican, you know, with my parents being Mexican and me being Mexican, but I'm an American, you know what I mean? And so some of these family members. This is just me talking, you know. Just don't tell my story. I say that, you know. But it's like you're not gonna change my ways of thinking because this is the way you think. This is the way you were taught. You know. This is my life, and this is what I what I do.
Which is true, and believe I don't think any of us want to change their way of thinking either, right? But for me, at least, I was raised to find the middle ground, right? We may bump heads and be like, hey, we don't agree in that, but we gotta respect their beliefs, but you gotta respect my beliefs as well. Not just because, oh, I may be younger or I may don't know a lot because you have 40, 50, 60 years of life, which I get it, respect your elders, right? But I also am a firm believer that respect is earned as well, right? I think we
agree
that respect could be earned as well, and our Hispanic culture is where we stop always, hey, respect your elders, right? Which we do. We don't disrespect, but I believe that if, hey, I'm respecting you, I expect for you to also respect my beliefs as well, right? And I think that's what we clash a lot, especially in the Hispanic culture, because, hey, I want you to take my beliefs, and my beliefs are right, and you're wrong, right? So, and I think that's what causes a lot of friction, especially in our culture and our families.
Yeah, and it's even for me, with growing with my mother-in-law, it's like she has this belief about like, hey, your daughter's not feeling well, we need to do this, but for me, it's just like, well, I don't feel really good about it, like I'm not superstitious. I might be stitious a little bit, but it's stuff that I'm like, yeah, you know what, how about, and she respects it, like, hey, you know what, actually, we're not going to go ahead. I won't do that because it's not right, or if you don't feel good with it, then that's fine, And I think that's how it should be, they should have that respect for us as well, as we do for them. It's like, we're both ways as well. And, as we're getting older, we realize that, hey, how are we going to be when our kids get to that age, when we're the ones, talking, when they're talking about us, the way we're talking about them, about our in-laws or parents and stuff like that, So I think it's always good to, see, but hey, if we don't like certain things, let's teach our kids, like, hey, this is how your grandparents did it, this is how we're gonna do it, but there's always gonna be something like, hey, you can change it your way too, whatever you feel like. As time changes, this is how it's gonna be,
Yeah, I totally agree. I have a lot of kids. I have 5 kids. And
counting.
And counting, and future wives, whatever it takes. But I whenever have the opportunity to talk to my kids, I tell them, like, I'm the dad that always says that I love you. I tell them they know that I love them because I tell them that I love them. I don't just show it. They know that I love them because I've told them. Verbally told them, and look at them in the eyes, told them like I love you. And that's one thing I didn't have growing up as a Hispanic Mexican kid. My dad, I knew he loved me, and he was always there for me. But the words "I love you" they wouldn't come out of his mouth. They have a hard time. Hispanics tend to be either very, very loving or very, very cold. In my case, my father was always there for me, but he was on the colder side, So that's one thing with my kids that I changed, and I tell them, like, I tell them I love them, and they know that I love them, and then I want them to know that in the future, when they have their own kids, this is just me being me. But when they get to be parents, then take the best from me and whatever they have to offer themselves, and take it to their kids, And I speak for myself when I say we. And some of us, but we come from a harder times, the times now, the kids now, the Hispanic kids now, like, I have examples of my own children don't speaking Spanish and stuff like that, but they have it so much easier than what we had, they have it all, and it's thanks to my work, to your work, to Javi's work, it's because we work so hard that their future it's brighter. We didn't have it as bright as they had it, and that's one thing I'm proud of, that I worked hard for my children, and my children don't have the needs to do certain things or have the needs that I had. So the family topic is very special to me, because I'm proud to say, like, I do things for my family and around my family. So, and when people make fun or people make comments and stuff like that, I don't care. Like, I'm a family guy, and it doesn't matter to me what a lot of people have to say. I personally don't have like a Facebook page and Instagram and all this and all that, because once I did, it took me time from my family. So even that I cut to a minimum so I could be with my family. So to me, it's like,
block out them haters on social media.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he says, what they say.
Why
right?
is he on TikTok, bro?
You know what they say?
Don't tell nobody.
You know what they say though, when you combine social media accounts, it must be something, you know. But hey, no, it works.
That's what the haters say.
He was one of the haters. He
was one of the haters. Yeah.
I was like, what is he doing now?
So I had to block his ass.
He does have an account. But yeah, I mean, it works both ways. I mean, one example for me, it's like how, you know, Adam said with how the way your parents show you love, or especially like dads, you know. I remember getting my first home, and it was just like, oh, like Dad, I'm so happy to see you, you know. And when he came like a month later, and it was just like, oh, you know, you can do better. And for me, I was like, well, for me, it was a house. Like, I was happy and proud of it.
Say that, bro.
What's that?
I said that?
No, I said my dad, bro.
That's what he's saying, bro.
Oh, you said your poppies.
Yeah.
I thought it was me. Specify.
I said my dad.
Not
my
that dad.
If you say your daddy, I thought it was me. I'm like, I know you
I
can't
said
tell.
Adam.
He's like
Adam's
daddy.
talking about it. I know. He's with it. I don't even call him daddy, but no. I said my dad.
He's like, my daddy came and see me in my house. I'm like, I did not come to your house, bro.
My actual dad. No. Plus, I don't even have a daddy.
My sugar daddy.
Anyways,
So you're not denying that he's daddy or not.
Yeah,
but you're
but-
just saying not him.
yeah, you know, I'm not. That's for another topic for another day.
Yeah.
You know? But you know what I'm saying? So it's just like seeing that. It's just like, for me, it's just like, wow. When my daughter gets to that point, I don't want to ruin that moment for her. You know?
Right.
I want to be able to be like, hey, like, congrats. You know, even if it's something small or something that it doesn't even matter. You know, as long as it makes her happy and proud of what she's done, her accomplishment. You know.
Which that's great that you want to implement. And I mean, for me, going back to my family, or piggybacking what you guys are talking about. For me, my family's a little different. I've always had my mom there. She's always been very supportive.
What did you say that our mom was not there?
but-
You just say our mom was not there.
Hey, you didn't say no mom drop, but for dads as well. My dad, I can't say he's always been there, but he would tell me that he loves me constantly. But I mean, it's one thing is saying it.
Yeah, but it's
one thing is
different when he
showing it.
sends you an email than
Exactly.
in person.
Exactly. But I believe my dad tries to be there, right? But I think just, you know, my life and his life and my siblings' life just makes it harder for that, right? But for me, like, when I got my first home, my dad was proud. He was happy, all that stuff. So I can't relate to that with you guys. But the only thing that I'm taking, that I learned from my dad is, yes, always tell your kids I love you, always kiss them, all that type of stuff, right? But be there, right? You're not, one thing is saying it, but one also thing is showing it, right? And I think that's very important, because yeah, you can say as much as you want, but when you're not there in those crucial moments, we're like, hey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, you know? So I think it's important to be there in those moments.
And that's what makes Carlos, you know, a baby. You know, he's like a big teddy
Just
bear.
make sure you edit the tears coming out of my eyes.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, you know, it's good, and it's, you know, like we said, it's something that we'll head, and it's growing up, and you know, going back to what Adam said, you know, about you know, his kids, you know, like having his privilege. I mean, it's us, you know, like all of us, like our kids are gonna grow up with privilege. They're not gonna go to the. I mean, for me, I can't say it was extremely struggle, you know, compared to like.
I came from the hood. I'm from Crenshaw.
No. I'm from Midville.
Okay, bro.
Okay, bro, that's a different subject, man.
Okay, bro, calm
This
down,
guy.
bro.
You know, I used to run those streets back in middle school, you know, but and then I moved
They
over
call
to
you
Sandy,
what
and
was your street name?
it was I think they call me Skittles because I used to switch what do you call it, affiliation every time. So, but anyway,
Either that or you're too colorful, one of the two.
But no,
Taste the rainbow.
Yeah.
hey, but anyways, you know, it's just I see it, you know, but I want to be able to let my daughter know that for her to know the you know, the struggles that we grew up with, and also let her know, like, hey, what we went through, and also, you know, for her to know and respect that not everyone's life is going great, and people's life that are going great, there's still something that they might have, you know, that we don't know. And so for me, it's just like, you know, going away with judging, like, hey, like, we don't judge, you know, because we don't know, like, someone might be looks like they're having a happy life, but they also might be going through some hard stuff.
Yes, sir.
And it's just like, you never know, you know, like, it might be something that's like on paper looks good, but then you're looking at that person and they struggling, you know, whatever it might be, like health or, you know, stuff like that. And for me, I'm thankful that these, you know, Adam and Ceelos over here, when I went through some medical stuff, you know, that they came, you know.
Well, specify. I'm just joking.
You know, when I had it was cancer. Thanks, joking. No, there was a testicular cancer, you know. But either way, you know what? Don't even matter about that, because
I mean, you still want to spread awareness, right?
But yeah, and you know, it's
spread
something
awareness
that,
at the same time.
Yeah, and it's something that's serious. But you know, I remember Adam and coming over that same. I think it was that same day after I I left surgery, and he came over with his family, and he brought donuts, and I was just like, wow, like, you know, knowing how that's crazy, having someone close to you doing that, you know, respect, like, no matter what, you know. But for me, it was kind of like also letting them know, hey, this is what happened, and this is what I went through, so that way, if anything, they can also be on the lookout for their health, you know. Because it's something that I don't want to be like this, withhold the information, and for like Adam or you know, or Carlos to be going through something like that. But that's something for me. It was like great respect seeing him there and spending that time with me, you know, and knowing that, hey, if I need anything, and he's I mean, Adam's been such a helpful person, you know. Carlos with his knowledge of like of movies and just like you know, with him working at the bank, it's just stuff, information that he helps us out. So in a way, we all help each other with whatever, you know, type of skill that we have, or any way, just by being there as a family.
Yeah, totally agree. I feel like where we sit now is after so much, you know, so many years of work, that I see Carlos, I see Javi, and I feel like we've been blessed with what we have, you know, with my topic to start with family, but we are also family, you know. And I'm glad to have you guys, you know, next to me, and every time there's been hard times, it's one of you two guys that are there, you know. And it's, you know, that's the way it's got to be. And I feel like there's a lot of dudes like us that, you know, that may not have that one person, you know. And I say it personally because, like, when I have personal problems, sometimes I can't go to my brother or can't go to my dad, you know. So I have dudes like you guys, you know, like, and sometimes I feel like people don't have that dude, you know, that you can just be like, hey, I'm having trouble with my wife, or I'm having trouble with money, or this and that, and I hope this podcast can help people, you know, and be like, hey, there's other dudes that they go through the exact same things. They struggle with their wives, they struggle with their kids, they struggle with their financial things, but there's always always at the end of the tunnel, there's light, you know. And it's not a metaphor. I mean, there really is light, and then you just gotta work.
Yeah.
You work your way through the tunnel, and you'll get there, you know. So my hopes is that, you know, you guys' podcast, that we can help people, and we can communicate with people like us, dudes like us, you know, dudes that are out there, that are the real deal, you know. I say it like it is, you know what I mean. So that's my goal for being here with you guys, and anything that I can do to help, I'm here. So yeah, you guys are family, and it's a blessing to be here. And I hope that other people have that same blessing, to have dudes like you guys, you know. And if they don't, you know, a podcast like this can help somebody out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reaching out, leaving a comment or whatever, or listening every other week or whatever. You know, we have different topics, and you know, it's exciting. It's a little nerve-wracking in the beginning, but if you say it like it is, you know.
Which is cool. I mean that's why I'm glad we're doing this podcast and stuff like that, because we could change someone's life. I mean, hopefully someone that is listening does, like, hey,
and then we get advertisement too. That would help a lot.
There's like some sponsors out there.
Yeah.
No, but like,
Viagra, if you're out there,
Yeah.
I got my boys over here. You know.
Yeah, some advertisement for middle-aged men. You know.
but it's like hopefully we target, and those people like would want to reach out to us, right? And be like, and we're not saying we're professionals and we know all this type of
not at
stuff,
all.
right? But something like, hey, like, I get what you're going through, right? Just to have that reinforcement, you know.
I feel like the three of us and the other people that are coming in the show later, you know, like in the podcast, like we all have something that can help someone else, you know. I'm in the construction business. How many Hispanics or a lot of people in the construction business, you know, that
I mean,
construction and landscaping, bro.
Landscaping, you know, Mario, reach out to me, you know.
Which one do you want? You
It's
know?
like, but then we have a banker, you know. All the white people can reach out to you, you know, and like we have, you know, we have Javi, and then, you know,
we have a secretary, so
yeah,
he can file.
city secretary. He can file stuff, and you know. But my point is that we can help other people, and I feel like we've all been blessed to be here, and we've succeeded in one way or another, you know. We could help people, you know, achieving buying a home, you know, Hispanics like me, undocumented Hispanics like myself, to be successful, to have a running business, to buy a house, you know, to have a better life, you know. We don't have to settle for any less than anybody else, you know, for people like us, you know.
It comes down to, I mean, we've been saying it for years, you know, the saying "si se puede." It doesn't just come out like it's a true thing that being Hispanic, not even being from this country, things could be achieved. My parents came undocumented and they were able to establish themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but believing in yourself, right? Because anything is possible, especially when you live in a great country like the United States, right? Where you could achieve anything that you set your mind to, right? It's just putting in the work and putting in the effort, right? So I think with listeners that may chime into this podcast, they may be able to pick up from us. And then even if our listeners are Hispanic or not, like hopefully they get something like, well, maybe I can be, you know, and have that opportunity.
No, yeah, that's kind of it's like you said with everything is it's like if we didn't believe in ourselves starting this podcast, who would? Like if we don't start it, if we didn't do our first episode, I mean, without only one microphone and just kind of like whatever we had at that time, it's like when would we start, So we need to do something,
I mean,
we need to start wherever we're at now and just say it like, hey, write it down and just do it, just put it on.
Really what it comes down to is we have nobody, so we're venting.
So this is our venting
so
session.
this is just like a secret message, please help. No,
we're not even recording. This is just for our own purpose.
But like going into what Javi's saying, but yeah, I mean, starting something like this, even if we have one listener or a million listeners, I think this is great that we're doing it. I mean, even for us, I think it will bring us a little closer as well. And even our guest speakers that come in later in the show, or topics that we come up with, stuff like that. I mean, today we had a topic in mind, but then when it came down to it, we had a hard time thinking of what to talk about.
Yeah.
And it just came out to family, which is something that just came out of nowhere, right? We weren't prepared for that. We originally were prepared for a different topic, but it just didn't feel right to talk about, so we were kind of lost in the loop. But stuff like this, where it's just raw content, where you just literally be like, oh, I don't know what to talk about because I don't think I want to bring up this topic, but you just came up with a topic about family, and we just carry on. And I think if we continue to bring this in, also, I mean, obviously have a little prepared with topics or important things that are going on. I mean, maybe trending as well. I think that's important too. But I think the point of the podcast is to show a little bit more non-scripted things that we talk about.
And we pretty much, try to keep it simple for our boy Adam over here, Something that he can something that he can catch on to quick, No, but I mean it's true. Kind of, we do plan to come prepared. And even if like I feel like if we did have an item or topic or agenda, whatever it might be, I feel like this is a good way to, how we went with it. So. And it's good to have us together like this and continue doing stuff like this and just talking, it might be a venting session or it might be like stuff that we want to inform people about, like either something that's like Carlos said, something that's trending, but something that's like, hey, you know what, we know that we were able to buy a home, so how about we talk about how we did it, each of us, because we didn't do all the same way, us three did it in a way differently, and we got to where we are in our point of life by going different routes, yet ending in the same, point. So
yeah, I mean, it's just coming, and like I said, we came from different beginnings, but we started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah. Started from the bottom. Now we're up.
Yes,
sir.
But I mean, it's important things to talk about, and hopefully, like CJO was saying, like hopefully sometime. Throughout the week we come up with things, and hopefully maybe not just be trending stuff, right? But hopefully it's also educational stuff.
So
yeah, I totally down to do this every week, and hopefully we can get people hearing and people like us is what I would prefer.
Like losers?
Yeah, they have nothing to do.
Nothing else to do.
Nah,
yeah, people that are down to earth and just like us and are willing to hear it like it is, because that's just
you gotta
what
take
is,
it, man. I mean.
And if you don't like it, just
don't cancel us, please.
Yeah, don't cancel. Just kind of whatever you gotta do,
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah. So, but anyways, do you have anything else that you wanna bring up? Anything that you wanna say for the before we close this second episode?
Not really. Just thankful to be here once again, and I just want to say to everybody or anybody that would ever hear this pod or anybody that could possibly hear it is just don't give up. There's many ways to succeed. There's many ways to get around it. There's many ways to figure out your family. There's many ways to figure out the money. Everything always has a solution. And to me personally, everything has a solution. To my family, there's always a solution. They're talking about some financial crisis coming pretty soon and stuff, and a recession and stuff like that, you know. But there's always a solution.
First thing I want to say, just thank you, Adam, for coming on. Appreciate you hopping on in our newly podcast. I think it's great. Hopefully we have you more on, if not a permanent member. We'll see what the audience has to say.
It kind of
Only, do I get paid? Is there a payment?
It kind of depends. I
Do I
mean,
get
if we record this between 8 or 9, we probably catch him. If it's anything after 9:30, Adam has a
He's
bedtime.
out.
So
He's out.
Yeah, it's gotta be early. It's
But-
gotta be early. I'm in my late 30s. Yes, everybody knows, and I'm gonna get a lot of crap because of my age. I'm just a grown man.
Late 30s,
you know?
bro? Come on.
Late
Nah.
30s, late 30s. You know, we'll leave it at that. You know, but
Say a number, bro. Throw a number.
It's late 30s, very, very late 30s. You know, I'm not 40, but I'm very, 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 very late 30s. But I just, you know,
Is it even
I'm-
considered late 30s anymore?
yeah. I'm in the 30s, so blessed to be here. Blessed to be here with you guys, and you know, thankful. Whoever is out there and wants to hear anything we have to say, you guys have to say. You know, I press forward. You know, get it done. That's what I got to say. Get it done.
Yep. So this is CJO and Ceelos podcast episode number 2. Stay tuned for, you know, we're gonna record this and bring it out either Sunday or the latest Wednesday of the week, you know, just to make sure that everyone can listen to our podcast. And we're gonna continue this and keep going, you know. And again, we want to thank Adam here for coming up and bringing up such an amazing topic. If you have any questions or anything that you would want us to talk about, please
Let us know.
Let us know.
If I'm not here next time, is because either know they have no viewers or they don't pay well. So if I'm not here, just don't subscribe.
All right, everyone. That's at the spot here, and this spot that we're at today is our Theo's house, uncle's house. So again, we'll, you know, wherever we're at, doesn't matter. Thoughts at the spots, and we this time I say, you know, we agree with the topic, and thank you again for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Sir.
Signing out.
Peace.
Peace.